Hello again. It's nice to be back. I've just had a lovely week away with another couple, really good friends, in the Peak District in Britain. It's not far from where I used to live, in fact, but would you believe I don't think I'd been to any of the places we visited. We had a really good time. Anyway, to get on with this, what I thought I'd do today is to give you an idea of what I do to mount little tiny dies like this, which are frame dies. I'll show you what it cuts out. I'll just cut one out of this piece of card. Here we go. This is what it makes. It's a tiny, very fine frame. I don't actually remember the brand of this one. I've had it for a while, but it's a very fine frame, and it's what to do to mount something like this onto a card. Now, it is quite small. This is about 1 inch across. So what I did on this card here was to cut a square with a circular aperture in it, so that the die cut itself could be mounted onto the square. These are the dies I used. I've got sets of Presscut dies. These are Presscut dies, and they increase in very small increments, as you can see here. I have circles, squares, rectangles, ovals, quite a few different ones, and they are absolutely super. So what I looked for to complement this die was a circular die that was just a bit smaller. And the reason for that is so that the actual die cut can be stuck to the edge of the aperture. That's the one I made there. If I cut this one in it, you'll see the difference. It is slightly smaller. Can you see it's, whoops, nearly lost it. There's that's a smaller aperture. So this can be stuck just onto the outside of it. Do you see? Okay, so now I'll just carry on and tell you what I did. That's the principle behind it. So what I did was cut the square with the circle, the smaller circle, for an aperture, and I wanted to raise it onto foam tape. This is the foam tape I use. It's quite narrow, 1/2 centimetre probably wide, not too thick, and put it onto the back so that it's raised from its background. And the background I used on here was a little piece of this. That is where this one came from. And this is a background I made on my jelly plate with acrylic paints, stamps, all sorts. It's just a general playtime, really. But I know some people don't have a jelly plate, so this is a download from Pngwing. I call it Pngwing. People who know me know I call it Pngwing. So this is a watercolour leaves background, and you could use this and you could get a really nice effect, similar to the one there. So just so that you got an idea, if you can't do this, you may be able to do this. So just an alternative. So this card is 5 inches square, cut from a piece of A4, and this is the bit that I cut off. So this piece I can use for any additional die cut, sentiments, whatever else. So let's get on and do, shall we? So here we go. I've got that one cut already. So what I want to do, this one is the smallest of these squares. Can you see it's that one? So we'll pop that onto there. we will pop this small circle, again from Presscut, onto the top. And because there's two and I don't want them to jig about, I'm going to use a bit of low tack tape just to keep them in position whilst I die cut them. So I tend to eyeball most of these things. So just a minute. I think that's okay. Yeah, I think that's okay. So we'll cut out these two together. Yeah. And we've got our first mounting frame. There we go. So there it is. Now what I want to do is to stick this onto the edge of that so that it's got a more pronounced frame. So for that I'm going to use a bit of my Zig pen. It's you can reposition this for a little while until it's kind of set, so you have got a bit of manoeuvrability with this one. So I'm not putting anything on the trees at the minute because I want those to be a little bit popped up from the coloured background. So I'm going to pop this onto here. Let me make sure you can see. Onto the... And it just happens to fit the edge. I just move this around a little bit. We've got a little bit of manoeuvrability. And because it's so thin, whoops-a-daisy, sticking to my fingers. I think this is going to do. Put it down a bit. Yeah. Okay. I expect you fiddle around like this as well, do you? Let me just get rid of this bit of glue off the mat. Okay, now I'm going to start with the next layer, which is the coloured layer. And I'll try this leaf background for this one, just to see what we get. So I'm using the next size up square, which is this one. And I fancy that bit in the corner that's quite nice and dark. I'll have to cut a bit of this off if I'm going to put it through this particular die cut machine. Right, let's have that bit there. I think that looks quite nice. And when you mount it like this, you can't tell what it actually is. It just looks like a nice coloured background. Here we go. So that is going to go on there. That looks nice, doesn't it? You can look around and see which... Oh, I don't like that way. I like that way. So see which way suits the image on the back. Now, to adhere this to this, I'm going to use my double-sided tape. So... See, it's so skinny, it fits on here without any messing about. And that bit was too long, but that doesn't matter. Cut a bit off. Now I use a little bit of this for the small tree on the back of it. Just a tiny sliver, and I use a bit more of it. Behind the, actually I've got those the wrong way around. This is a slightly fatter one. Let's put that one on there, and this one on that one. There we go. Got a bit over. Stuck to me now. Okie dokie. Right, a couple more bits and we should be done. one there, and a bit in here. Okay, now this foam tape is going to give us just a little, yeah, I like that, just a little interest away from the background. Here we go. Take this off with these. I've twisted the tree, but we can put him straight when we come to put it on the background. Don't you just love a fiddle? Oh, for goodness sake. Oh, good grief. I'm going to put another piece on because I moved that one and it's probably not got that much sticky left. Let's get another little bit. Tiny little sliver. If I don't put a bit on here, it'll wobble around and look pretty dreadful. So I do need to cut just a tiny bit. Oh my Lord. Talk amongst yourselves, people, while I sort this one out. Good grief. I got it. I have got it. Right, here we go. I think we're almost in business. Now to put this onto this one. I think that's okay. There we go. Now the fact that we haven't actually stuck it directly onto the background just gives us shadow inside, a little bit of interest. Now I'm going to do one more square, and I'm going to do the largest of the three, and then that will be the final part of the mount. I could put a sentiment on if I fancied it, but often in square cards I like to leave them just kind of as they are. This is my ATG gun, which I really love. When I first started card making, I used to use really skinny double-sided tape, really skinny stuff. But as you saw, I get in a bit of a pickle sometimes trying to get the backing off. Pokey tools are wonderful, but it did take a time. When I bought one of these things, it was like a revelation. Right, there we go. Now you can see those two don't look dissimilar. The backgrounds, I say I made this one ages ago on my jelly plate, and this one is one of the downloads that I've used, and I use this downloads a lot for die cutting. When you cut something from a print like this, you get such a lovely mix of colours, and it really makes for interesting things. So now all I need to do is to mount that onto there, and I have another Christmas card. November's too late for me to start thinking about Christmas cards. I make them all through the year. So there you go, an idea for mounting. I've got this one on here as well, for mounting a frame die cut into a different kind of mount. So there it is, another Christmas card for the pile. And as ever was, thanks so much for watching.